Part 62. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 611. Chapter 611 Murong 11's Emotions 1. Qian Yuman is 3 months pregnant. She is officially out of the unstable pregnancy period and can finally move around. She must jump more before she is 7 months pregnant, otherwise she will be unsteady when she is 7 months pregnant. If she is pregnant with a little baby, she will be confident that she can climb mountains and run even at 9 months old. It just so happened that she had 2 little babies in her belly. By the time she was 8 months old, her belly might be as big as a gymnastic ball, and Tanyuj would not allow her to go out. Hearing that Tanyuj and his good friends were having a party in imperial capital, she was eager to attend and was so happy that she wanted to fly. Once she heard that he was going to the imperial capital, she consciously helped the 2 of them pack their luggage and happily boarded the plane to the imperial capital. Sitting on Tanyuj's exclusive private plane, the 2 happily flew to the imperial capital. This party was organized by Lan Tianlu, Tanyuj's friend. The imperial city is also his territory. The headquarters of the Lan group is in the imperial city. The elders of their Lan family have lived in the imperial city for several generations. As soon as he arrived in the imperial capital, he was welcomed by Lan Tianlu and the others. This gathering was mainly because Lan Tianlu had registered his marriage not long ago, so he invited several friends over to celebrate. The last time Tanyuj and Qian Yuman got married, Tanyuj was brutally beaten by several people led by Lan Tianlu. This time it was Lan Tianlu's turn to marry his fiancée, and naturally he was brutally beaten by a group of bad friends. Fate. After getting off the plane, he was immediately entertained by the couple. Tanyuj had a villa in the emperor, but he still happily lived in the old house of Lan Tianlu's family. The old house of Lan Tianlu's family has an antique style. Qian Yuman came here for the first time and really liked the residence here. Moreover, Lan Tianlu's grandfather was very cute and funny. When he met Qian Yuman for the first time, we had a very happy chat and even wanted to adopt her as my goddaughter. At this moment, Grandpa Lan was holding Qian Yuman's hand, wanting to take her to the ancestral tablet to recognize Qian Yuman. Lan Tianlu looked at his grandfather indifferently without making a sound. Tanyuj was shocked when he heard this, and rushed over quickly to stop Grandpa Lan. Grandpa Lan, please let my wife go. Qianer is my wife, and Xiaotian and I are brothers. If you accept Qianer as your daughter, then won't I follow you and call you daddy? Then Xiaotian will have to call you daddy. My uncle Tanyuj hugged his wife and was several meters away from Grandpa Lan. He must not let Grandpa Lan succeed. You bastard! Grandpa Lan waved his hands angrily, actually rejecting him. Xiaotian, your grandpa wants you to call me uncle, you don't want to stop me. If you really want to accept your daughter, the relationship will be messed up. It doesn't matter, Lan Tianlu said indifferently, not caring about these nonsense at all. The newlywed wife Xiao Ling beside him was dissatisfied and pouted. I don't want to call my senior sister aunt, and I don't want to call her Uncle Old Tang. Grandpa, just accept your senior sister as your granddaughter, not necessarily a daughter. Grandpa Lan frowned and was very confused. I have a granddaughter, but I don't have a daughter. I have always wanted to have a daughter. My goddaughter can accept it, so now it's either my goddaughter or neither, Tanyuj said. Anyway, he had to protect his wife from being snatched away. Grandpa Lan felt sorry for himself because of their ruthless rejection. His old man is so pitiful. He came to have a daughter in his old age, but he couldn't realize it. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 612. Chapter 612 Murong 11's Emotions 2. His old man is so pitiful. He came to have a daughter in his old age, but he couldn't realize it. His old man has reached his twilight years and cannot even realize this small dream. He is so pitiful and is an old man who is not loved by anyone. Woo woo woo. Grandpa Lan, this huge living treasure, actually squatted in the corner and drew circles. His back looked so lonely and pitiful, accusing Tangyuj of cruelty every minute. Tangyuj was speechless for a while. There is an old man in the family, and if there is a treasure, it describes an old baby like Grandpa Lan. Several other brothers of Lan Tianlu came one after another, and this time the request was to bring their partners to participate. The last time they got together, they all came alone, but after 3 months of separation, Lan Tianlu and Chang Junyi have partners around them, so Lan Tianlu asked everyone to bring companions this time. As for the Ji-fan, he won't worry. He can take no one with him, even hundreds of loves in his life. Ji-fan was the last person to arrive at Ian's house, and the companion he brought surprised everyone. He was actually someone everyone knew. Ji-fan, what are you doing? The moment Jian Yuman saw Ji-fan, she rushed over, pushed Ji-fan away forcefully, grabbed the woman he was holding, and then looked at him with a look of eagerness. Hey, Xiao Manman, why are you stealing my companion? Jian Yuman hid Murong 11 behind his back and stared at Ji-fan, a playboy. You don't want to get involved with Xiao 11, do you? I don't care if you get involved with others. You can't ruin my family, Xiao 11. What's a waste? I'm so handsome and charming, Ji-fan said narcissistically, shaking his hair narcissistically. You playboy, any woman who is with you will be ruined. Since meeting Ji-fan, she has seen several batches of women around him. The number is astonishing, and the one with the most is Fang Qingcheng. She is not afraid of him ruining Fang Qingcheng, because Ji-fan is from the Appearance Association, and the women around him are very beautiful, so he is not afraid of ruining Qingcheng's cousin. The two of them are pure friends, and they will hang out together when they have nothing to do, and they can talk well. Murong 11 is different. He is beautiful, capable, and has a good personality. Nonsense, Xiao Zixi and I are just friends. Besides, what's wrong with me? All the women who are with me like me very much. Ji-fan turned on the narcissistic mode again. He dared to be so narcissistic. Say second, no one dares to say first. The level of shamelessness is more than one level higher than Mr. Tang. Come on. Xiao 11, you must pay attention to this bastard, don't let him eat you. You must know that you are an important cooperative relationship with Mr. Tang of my family. If you fall out of love, you will be sad. Being sad will affect your mood. If you don't do well, you won't want to work. If you don't want to work, the Emgrand group will have no income. Without income, I will have nothing to eat and no money to spend. So for me, you must work hard and stay away from Ji-fan. Jian Yuman has a serious attitude, but her words are very interesting. Her words instantly made everyone present laugh. Tangyuj laughed the loudest, while Ji-fan had a bitter look on his face. He was once again disliked by Jian Yuman. Obviously he is a treasure in the hands of many people, but why is he just a piece of grass every time in front of Jian Yuman, with all kinds of disgust? Oh my God! He is handsome and charming is indeed a mistake. Perhaps God also thinks that he is too perfect, so he will give him some difficulties and not let him live too happily. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 613. Chapter 613 Murong 11's Feelings 3. It turned out that Murong 11 happened to come to the Imperial Capital branch for an inspection. Ji-fan knew that she was in the Imperial Capital, so he went to look for her to play. I happened to be attending a gathering of friends tonight, and everyone had female companions. He was the only one living alone, without a girlfriend or wife, so he invited Murong 11 to come because everyone knew him. Murong 11 heard about their evening party and nodded and agreed to the invitation. Only Jian Yuman was surprised that Murong 11 became Ji Fan's female companion. She thought that Ji Fan had reached out to Murong 11, but she had to keep a close watch on him and not let this act recklessly. It has been a long time since there was a small group of 4 people gathering together. This night, we came to an entertainment facility owned by the Lan Group. It was a very large KTV, which was fashionable, luxurious, and avant-garde. The moment Jian Yuman arrived at the KTV, she was so excited that she wanted to scream. She hugged Tang Yuj and kept chattering. She didn't expect that their entertainment life also had an ordinary side. She hadn't been to a KTV to sing for a long time, and she couldn't help but want to show off her singing voice and amaze everyone. Jian Yuman has unknowingly become familiar with the other 3 female companions. She almost treats Tang Yuj as heir, pulling them to talk happily. The 4 men also gathered together to chat. Lan Tianlu, as a newly married man, kept staring at Xiaoling, which made other friends couldn't help but tease him. "You have changed. You are no longer the same person we knew," Ji Fan said jealously, pointing at Xiaoling and saying to Lan Tianlu. "You used to be so aloof and cold, who didn't know what feelings were. I didn't expect that you have fallen now and know the taste of." Chang Junyi couldn't help but tease Lan Tianlu. "Look at the look in his eyes. I want to fix my eyes on Xiaoling. I didn't even have any other eyes before. My eyes are so soft right now. I didn't expect that our uncle Lan Tianlu would fall in love like an ordinary person." Tang Yuj also joined the team that ridiculed Lan Tianlu. Lan Tianlu is the one among them who is least interested in feelings. He is calm about many things and looks at things indifferently, as if he is not interested in anything in this world. Unexpectedly, in just 2 or 3 months, he quickly fell in love and even got married. He became a married person at such a speed that it was considered a miracle. They were all shocked when they heard about Lan Tianlu's marriage. They didn't expect that he would resolve the matter of his marriage so quickly. It was astonishing and sighing. Old God Lan Tianlu was drinking and looking at Tang Yuj interestingly. "You still have the nerve to tease me, but you didn't solve it quickly, and you weren't mentally prepared at all." Tang Yuj got married. They even knew about Jian Yuman's existence only after he got married. At first, they frightened several others and thought he was joking with them. Tang Yuj twitched the corners of his mouth, shrugged and smiled. "At least there isn't that disgusting look in Xiaoshan's eyes." Lan Tianlu couldn't help but glance at Tang Yuj a few more times. "There is nothing more normal than the way I look at my wife. But the way you look at your wife is becoming more and more emotional." Tang Yuj opened his mouth, pointed at his face and asked with a smile. "Really? I think it's fine." Lan Tianlu drank the wine in his hand, with a vague smile on his lips. "You're in love with her." End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 614. Chapter 614 Murong 11's Emotions 4. "You're in love with her," Lan Tianlu said with certainty. Tang Yuj's expression changed slightly, and he pointed at himself with a smile. "Do I look like I'm in love with the look in her eyes?" They all nodded almost at the same time, agreeing very much with what Lan Tianlu said. Tang Yuj was stunned again. He didn't expect that the brothers thought so. "You know I don't believe in love. I feel for her like a sister." "Ha ha ha, I can do something to my sister, and I'm pretty good at sleeping with her until I get pregnant," Ji Fan sneered from the side. "Old Tang is a heavy drinker." Lan Tianlu joined the taunting team. "It's a beast, even my sister can do it." Chang Junyi naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity. Hey, hey. What are you doing? Why did it become my taunting conference? What's wrong with my sister? I'm happy, I like it." Tang Yuj raised his chin proudly, even a little smug. Lan Tianlu had a sneer on his lips. "Xiaji, beat him." Okay, Ji-fan instantly jumped up from his position, clenched his fist and swung it at Tang Yuge. Tang Yuge dodged sensitively, but still couldn't dodge completely. The two of them had a great time. The man's side instantly turned into a group of children playing around, and Lan Tianlu could not avoid being involved. Chang Junyi had already actively joined the group. The three women on Jian Yuman's side were teasing Xiao Ling about her quick marriage. Xiao Ling was only 18 years old this year and had only become an adult not long ago. When she was abroad, she was Lan Tianlu's fiancée. Unexpectedly, only a month had passed. Became his wife. There is an age difference of 10 years between Xiao Ling and Lan Tianlu. You can imagine how anxious Lan Tianlu is to marry her home. Xiao Ling is shy easily, her face turned red when Jian Yuman said it, and she yelled and teased her back. However, she couldn't beat Jian Yuman at all, and she could go around a few words. Look at how naive the man over there is. Jian Yuman smiled and pointed at a few men fighting not far away. Xiao Ling's clever eyes turned around and glanced in the direction of Lan Tianlu several times to make sure he didn't see him coming this way. His eyes looked different. "Senior sister, help me get the wine glass." Xiao Ling pointed to the wine glass not far away, and she had unknowingly taken a bottle of foreign wine in her right hand. Jian Yuman didn't notice anything wrong, so she helped her get the wine glass and handed it to her. Xiao Ling got the wine bottle and immediately poured herself a glass of wine. Before drinking, she looked in the direction of Lan Tianlu to make sure he didn't notice. He slowly tasted the wine in the glass and made a sound of admiration. "It's really delicious," Xiao Ling said with a look of enjoyment. Jian Yuman glanced at the wine in her hand. It was indeed a good wine, and it was also her favorite wine before pregnancy. "I really want to drink, but unfortunately I'm pregnant and can't drink." She will have to endure this situation for 7 or 8 months, which is bad news for her. Murong 11 also picked up the wine glass, poured some wine and started drinking with Xiao Ling. Jian Yuman was even more sad. As an alcoholic, it was torture for her to watch them drink. "Damn it, we can't just let it go. You two drink slowly while I go sing." The evening party was after they had eaten, and they were divided into men and women. Men chatted with men, women chatted with women, and no one sang a song yet. Fei Fanfan on the side heard that he wanted to sing, so he immediately joined in and ordered several songs on the singing table. Jian Yuman enthusiastically gave the first song to Fei Fanfan. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 615. Chapter 615 Murong 11's Emotions 5. The men had been drinking for a long time, and everyone was a little tipsy. Only Jian Yuman didn't drink a sip of wine, but she was the only pregnant woman present. As an old alcoholic, Jian Yuman felt that this was absolutely inhuman abuse, so she could only find other fun to divert her attention. She has not been to a KTV for a long time, let alone such a high-end social luxury KTV. It is said that KTV is more like a place with various types of entertainment equipment. Many devices are either gold or silver, and some are even decorated with diamonds. For example, microphones are diamond microphones, which are shiny and eye-catching. It was so beautiful that when Jian Yuman got it, she wanted to run to Lan Tianlu and take it home. Singing is Jian Yuman's major entertainment hobby. The last time she sang was in San Francisco. Fei Fanfan also loves singing very much. When she saw Jian Yuman going to request a song, she immediately jumped up and responded positively. Jian Yuman saw that she was as excited as a war chicken and was embarrassed to compete with her for the first song. "Fan Fan, please sing the first song first," Jian Yuman smiled humbly. Fei Fanfan shook his head. How dare he grab it? "Manman, you come first, I will sing the next song." Jian Yuman shook her head and insisted that Fei Fan and Fan should sing the first song first. Fei Fanfan didn't know why Jian Yuman insisted that she sing first. She kept pushing and took over the microphone to sing a song first. Fei Fanfan sang a very difficult song listening to the sea. Qian Yuman sat back and waited for Fei Fanfan to sing. When Fei Fanfan started singing the first line, many people looked at her. Except for Chang Junyi, everyone here heard Fei Fanfan sing for the first time. Everyone was shocked that Fei Fanfan could sing so well, and they all started talking. Applause and praise. After finishing the song, he was praised by many people, and Fei Fanfan also returned to his seat with his head lowered shyly. It was Qian Yuman's turn. Qian Yuman ordered one of her best songs, Qinghai Tibet Plateau. It can almost be said that it was one of Qian Yuman's best songs, and it was also her favorite song. When the prelude started playing, the whole place was in an uproar. No one expected Qian Yuman to be so fierce and sing such a powerful song as soon as she came. Especially a few men, they cheered directly. After a few seconds, they all regretted their previous actions, so why not take her microphone away? Qian Yuman held up a microphone and came to a small stage. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She was so well prepared that people who didn't know her would think she was a professional. In addition to the song Fei Fanfan sang in front of her just now, everyone is still looking forward to the heavenly voice in her mouth. Tang Yuj looked a little embarrassed at the moment. It was his first time singing with Qian Yuman, but he had heard her humming songs while cooking before, so he didn't have too many expectations in his heart. Who brought the ancient call, who left the thousand-year prayer, can it be said that there is still a wordless song, ah? Qian Yuman was singing a song forgetfully, instead of waving her left hand, forgetfully sometimes he would stand on tiptoes or squat down. The faces of the people on the seats who had been looking forward to her singing all had strange expressions. Fei Fanfan fainted directly on the sofa, covered her face with a pillow, and muttered something in her mouth. Xiao Ling's act of secretly drinking was stopped by Qian Yuman, who stared at her with a horrified expression. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 616. Chapter 616 Murong 11's Emotions 6. Jifan jumped up and covered his ears with a painful expression, praying for his ears in a low voice. Why should he ruin his ears? Lan Tianlu couldn't help showing surprise on his indifferent expression. Chang Junyi covered his ears with his hands, lowered his head and muttered in an attempt to cover up her singing, and then it still flowed into his ears. Tang Yuj, who had no expectations to begin with, had a strange expression on his face. He had heard Qian Yuman humming before. Although every line was not in tune, and most of them were sung with just a few tones, it was not as unpleasant as noise. Even though it was his wife, he couldn't help but complain about Qian Yuman's singing. It was really the most unpleasant song he had ever heard in his life. It's not that her voice is not good, but it has a charming flavor. However, every time she sings, her tone rises and falls erratically, not to mention the key. She originally sang in a wrong key, and it was even harder to keep up with the rhythm, which made them seriously suspicious. She can't sing at all. Her singing skills conquered everyone's ears in an instant, and the most exaggerated one was Fei Fanfan. Before Qian Yuman could finish singing, she ran away in disgrace. Qian Yuman was still singing selflessly, not noticing anyone's abnormality at all. In other words, she deliberately ignored everyone's reactions and continued to sing with all her strength. Yelazuo, that's the Qinghai Tibet Plateau, Yelazuo, that's the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. Qian Yuman shouted almost as hard as she could, screaming as hard as she could. Although not a single note was on the melody, she's still roaring hard there. Then, Xiao Ling watched helplessly as the goblet on the table was broken and turned into dregs. It just stayed there quietly. What did it do wrong to deserve death? Qian Yuman was still there cheering, and then the glass of the wall lamp not far away also exploded. Just when others thought that the chandelier on the top would be shattered by her roar, she finally finished singing. The moment Qian Yuman stopped, everyone almost burst into tears. For just over 3 minutes, they felt like they had been through hell. Manman is so amazing, she deserves to be a soul singer. Lan Tianlu raised his hand to applaud, and he clapped his hand in praise. He praised from the bottom of his heart. He was able to sing a song completely off-key, which is also a superb technique. He was worthy of being a singer who sang with his soul. In his life, he had never met a singer whose singing was difficult to hear and made people cry. Rather than saying she is singing, she can be better described as howling and screaming. 1 second she was singing an octave lower, and the next second she was singing an octave higher. With one lyric, she could span a huge range, sometimes the words are sung at a high level. Compared with this, the singing of her feathers is truly the sound of nature. Sure enough, there is no harm without comparison. Tanyuj was so embarrassed that he covered his face and pretended not to recognize her. After one song ended, Qian Yuman heard Lan Tianlu clapping and turned around and nodded to him. Another song came next. Next, what I bring to you is my second classic song, Song of the Five Rings. When Qian Yuman finished saying that she was going to sing the Song of the Five Rings, Tanyuj fell directly from the sofa to the ground, and Xiaoling was also affected. Extremely irritated, she grabbed the wine on the table and drank it down. It was better for her to get drunk. Lan Tianlu, who couldn't get enough of the excitement, applauded in support, while Ji Fan's expression was twisted, almost foaming at the mouth and rolling his eyes. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 617. Chapter 617 Murong 11's Feelings 7. Lan Tianlu, who couldn't get enough of the excitement, applauded in support, while Ji Fan's expression was twisted, almost foaming at the mouth and rolling his eyes. Sister-in-law. Just let me go. Ji Fan couldn't bear it anymore and screamed. He had done something wrong to deserve Qian Yuman's singing. Qian Yuman glanced at Ji Fan coldly, and actually dared to complain about her singing voice. She was simply tired of living. Did she want to be brutally killed? Ji Fan was so frightened by Qian Yuman's glare that he immediately knelt down to drink. Tanyuj gave a wry smile and raised the wine in his hands. They still drank. Maybe they wouldn't know what sounded good and bad after a while. Ji Fan smiled sympathetically at Tanyuj. With the existence of such a wife whose devilish voice filled his ears, he would inevitably be tortured in the future. The other two people looked at Tanyuj sympathetically, and the four of them clinked glasses with each other. Ah, 5 rings, you have one more ring than the 4th ring. Ah, 5 rings, you have one less ring than the 6th ring. Qian Yuman sang the classic Song of the 5 Rings with great emotion. The screams are as ecstatic as the more ecstatic they are. It has almost reached everyone's heart. After a few days, everyone will unconsciously think of the song Qian Yuman sang today in their minds. You can imagine how much stimulation the song brought to them, which made everyone deeply moved. Remember her singing voice. As for what Fei Fanfan sang just now, it is not that important anymore. The only thing that comes to everyone's mind is Qian Yuman's singing voice. Especially the song Qian Yuman sang was a brainwashing song. By the end of the song, no one knew what the original melody was, and they had been completely led astray by Qian Yuman. Just when everyone thought that this song was over, everything was over. Qian Yuman, who is addicted to singing, sang the third song Black Cat Sheriff, which instantly ignited the police passion in a woman who had been secretly drinking. Xiao Ling's face turned red. She held up another microphone in her hand and shouted at the top of her lungs before Qian Yuman spoke. Ah, Black Cat Sheriff. At this moment, Xiao Ling stood on the table, looking at the sky and the ground, roaring hard, singing happily. Qian Yuman looked up at Xiaoling singing in slight surprise. Was her song taken away? Although Xiaoling's pitch was still not standard, at least it didn't reach the point where the demonic sound filled her ears, but her actions were much more exaggerated than Qian Yuman's. Lan Tianlu just glanced at Xiaoling, and did exactly what Tang Yuj did just now. He covered his face with one hand and sighed deeply. This girl drank again and started to act like crazy again. He was deeply aware of her ability to act like crazy. For this reason, he ordered her not to drink, but he couldn't watch her at all. He didn't look at her for a while. When he stopped her, she started to scream and scream. The singing voice is still touching, and the movements of the hands are also exaggerated. Thank you everyone for coming to my concert, thank you everyone. I will work hard, and I will also try hard to keep myself in the headlines and not let others take it away. Thank you everyone, Xiaoling shouted passionately at the top of his voice, as if she was having a concert. Then he pointed at Qian Yuman and shouted. Yuji, hurry up and dance with us. Qian Yuman pointed at herself, when did she become Yuji? Lan Tianlu sighed helplessly, stood up, and nodded apologetically at everyone. You go on, I'll take her back first. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 618. Chapter 618 Murong 11's Emotions 8. Lan Tianlu sighed helplessly, stood up, and nodded apologetically at everyone. You guys go on, I'll take her back first. The little girl would go crazy when she drank, and would do so for more than an hour. In order not to ruin everyone's fun, it would be better to take Xiaoling away early. Go, Ji Fan, who had seen Xiaoling become drunk and crazy, immediately waved his hand, saying that if he didn't leave, he would become Xiaoling's little or male favorite. Lan Tianlu picked up Princess Xiaoling on the table and quickly hugged the restless Xiaoling. Her face was red, her eyes were confused, and she kept saying a bunch of lines that she didn't know where they came from. Qian Yuman was so tormented by Xiaoling that she forgot to sing the third song. However, when everyone saw the painful expressions on their faces when they saw her holding up the microphone and trying to sing again, she felt like she had gotten her revenge. Let you drink in front of me, let you have fun in front of me, you know you regret it. It's too late to know, I still have several songs to sing. It's hard to find an audience that listens to your songs, so naturally you won't let go of such a good opportunity and sing crazily at the top of your lungs. The three Tangyuj brothers drank and chatted, trying hard to cover up the pain of hearing Qian Yuman singing, and drank faster and faster. Fei Fanfan has been hiding outside, texting Chang Junyi to ask whether Qian Yuman has finished singing. She can go back when it is over. She doesn't want to stay in the VIP room. As time passed slowly, Qian Yuman finally got tired after singing 5 songs in a row, so she sat down to drink some juice and rest for a while. Fa Fanfan was immediately sent out to sing and wash their ears, otherwise all they would hear was Qian Yuman singing, which would be a painful torture for them. Qian Yuman also enjoyed singing and stopped to rest. She turned around to look for Tangyuj and found that he was not in the private room at all. Could it be that you couldn't stand her singing and ran out to take refuge? Qian Yuman didn't think much and went out to find Tangyuj. His mobile phone was also on the table and everything was still there. Maybe he went to the toilet. So she walked towards the toilet. Qian Yuman saw Tangyuj's back from far away, and then she found another figure standing opposite him. It was Murong 11. She was not in the box just now. She came out with Tangyuj. Speak. Yuj. Are you okay? Murong 11 looked at Tangyuj with concern. He looked like he had drank a lot. Tangyuj's steps were a little frivolous, he raised his head slightly and looked at the person opposite, and saw Murong 11 smiling slightly. What's wrong? Do you need me to help you? Tangyuj waved his hand and refused to help. Does he look like someone who is dying? He could still drink several more bottles of wine. Tanyuj blinked, and the steps he had just turned around suddenly made a clang, and his body fell forward. Murong 11 caught him with quick eyes and hands. You still say it's not necessary, but you can't even stand still. Tanyuj raised his head and looked ahead with confusion. Murong 11's face slowly turned into Jian Yuman's face, smiling brightly at him. Jian'er, why are you out here too? Tanyuj smiled widely. Murong 11 was stunned and realized that he was drunk and mistook her for Jian Yuman. Tanyuj suddenly opened his arms and held Murong 11 in his arms. He closed his eyes and put his entire body weight on her. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 619. Chapter 619 Murong 11's Emotions 9. Yuj, you have recognized the wrong person. I am Xiao 11. Murong 11 pushed him away slightly, trying to push him away from his arms, but the strength on his body was too great and he couldn't push him away at all. Murong 11 sighed slightly and shouted softly, but she heard a slight breathing sound next to her ears. When she looked carefully, he actually fell asleep holding her in his arms. Tanyuj thought he was holding Jian Yuman, and his face showed a happy smile and a look of satisfaction. It seems you really like her. Murong 11 looked at the sleeping Tanyuj and said with emotion. Tanyuj fell asleep and it was easier to deal with it. He could push it away gently. As a result, his body lost support and fell backward. Murong 11 immediately reached out to hold him to prevent him from falling. Tanyuj was so drunk that he didn't react to such a big movement and was still asleep. His hands were held by her, and his body was leaning against the wall. His eyes were still closed, and he was breathing shallowly, showing no signs of waking up. Murong 11 looked at his monster-like side face seriously, and was stunned for a moment. She carefully stretched out her right hand and gently covered his right cheek. Feeling a hand covering his face, Tanyuj raised the corners of his mouth slightly and rubbed Murong 11's palm. Murong 11 was startled and immediately retracted his hand, breathing much faster. Jian Yuman, who was watching the actions of Tanyuj and Murong 11 from a distance, her body was trembling slightly, and her beautiful peach blossom eyes almost popped out. What are they doing? Is old love rekindled? When she saw Tanyuj hugging Murong 11, she stopped in shock. Then when she looked at Murong 11 reaching out to hold his face and staring at him affectionately, she could be sure of one thing. Murong 11 has feelings for Tanyuj, and there are quite a lot of them. What Wang Tianyu said quickly flashed through her mind. Tanyuj and Murong 11 were once a campus couple, but they were eventually abandoned by Murong 11, causing Tanyuj to no longer believe in love. Last time I asked Ming Ming about Murong 11, she answered very calmly. She also said that she only had a brother-sister relationship with him, and there was no relationship between a man and a woman. They were not boyfriend and girlfriend when they were students. What is the situation now? Tanyuj can't help himself after being drunk. Murong 11 found out that she still had feelings for him again. In just a few seconds, she thought about a lot of things and began to believe that what Wang Tianyu said was true. Maybe Tianyu had not deceived her at all. Murong 11 felt a burning gaze. When she turned her head, she saw Jian Yuman's expression was cold and her eyes were fixed on her hand holding Tanyuj's handsome face. She retracted her hand like a frightened bird, a little flustered, like a child who had done something wrong. The other hand holding Tanyuj let go, and Tanyuj, who lost support, slid from the wall to the ground and sat on the ground. The old man was finally willing to open his eyes, but he still looked ahead in confusion. What was wrong with him? Murong 11 opened his mouth, but in the end he did not explain, and stood aside and looked at Jian Yuman. Yuman stepped forward to Tang Yuj, bent slightly, stretched out her hand and patted his cheek gently. Wake up. Tang Yuj was still looking at Yuman in confusion, unable to focus at all. There was a fire burning in Yuman's heart. She turned around and walked into the toilet. She came back with a small bucket of water and poured it on his face. His upper body was soaked. He gradually woke up and sat up straight with excitement. It's the body. What? Want to start abusing? Want to? Want to torture? Recommended tickets and monthly tickets should be given to me quickly. Acting like a coquettish person? Not giving. I'll say it again later. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 620. Chapter 620 Heart-rending Roar. Tang Yuj exhaled loudly and looked up with confusion at Yuman, who was looking at him angrily. When he saw her angry look, he immediately realized that he was drunk and made her angry. Wife. Yuman dropped the bucket in her hand and angrily glared at Tang Yuj on the ground with her hands on her hips. You also knew that I was your wife, but I thought I was just air. Yuman's words were meant for Murong 11. She was not sure if Tang Yuj was sober and entangled with Murong 11 just now, seeing how drunk he looked. Even if you question him, you can't get an answer. Even if there is something, he will fool it. He has the best reason, he drank too much. Manman Murong 11 opened his mouth to explain something, but after opening his mouth, he found that his explanation was weak, and he still didn't say anything. Give you 3 seconds to get up, or I will pack up and go back to my parents' house tomorrow to give you a chance to find another woman. Yuman squinted domineeringly at Tang Yuj, who was still sitting on the ground. The fist in his hand was already clenched. As long as Tang Yuj was late, within seconds, she was hitting him hard, letting him taste how delicious her fist tasted. Tang Yuj jumped up from the ground with a start, looking back and forth between her and Murong 11 behind her. Did he do something wrong just now? Why do they all look a little strange? After Tang Yuj stood up, his steps were messy and he almost lost his balance, so he quickly held onto the wall. He seemed to have drunk too much and was already drunk. I can't drink enough, Yuman said sarcastically. My wife taught me a lesson, Tang Yuj responded very obediently. He didn't look like a guilty person, which made Yuman feel better. He was so obedient that it once made her suspect that it was just her imagination. Say hello to the others and go home. Elation. Yuman crossed her hands on her chest and turned around to leave coolly. Although Tang Yuj's footsteps were messy, he still followed obediently, keeping his eyes closed the whole time and walking with his senses. Murong 11, who was left on the spot, covered his forehead in distress. At this moment, the anger in Yuman's chest was still burning. She tried hard to suppress her anger and not to explode easily. She actually wanted to grab him by the collar and question him directly. When she rushed over angrily to trouble him, and when he woke up and asked her, all her courage disappeared. She didn't dare to ask, fearing that the answer would be exactly what Wang Tianyu said. Because of Murong 11's presence in his heart, there was no room for her. At least before asking, she looked so happy, they looked like a loving couple. Afraid that after asking, he would abandon her and go into Murong 11's arms. The way Murong 11 took the opportunity to eat him when she was drunk just now shows that she definitely has feelings for Tang Yuj. Tang Yuj's head was still dizzy. He only remembered that Yuman was angry, so he followed her home obediently. As a result, when she returned home, the drunk Tang Yuj still needed his care. Her tears were about to fall. Fortunately, his wine was okay, but the smell of alcohol still spread from his mouth, causing her to arrive very late. Neither fell asleep. Yuman got up from the bed and was hesitating whether to go to the guest room to rest. Tang Yuj beside her suddenly opened his eyes and yelled heartbreakingly. Do not leave me. End of this chapter.